So, hello everybody. Thanks for coming today to La Fête de la musique first and second to our talk. My name is Pablo Ramirez. I will be moderating the panel of experts we have here today. We're very lucky to have all these professionals who work in the music industry, who are related to the music industry, so they can actually talk first-hand experience about the impact of digital and digitization into the music industry, especially in Thailand and sometimes abroad too. So first of all, let me introduce our panel. So ladies first, we're very lucky to have Kun Savanit Navapan. She's a recording artist who worked first in a major label, now works independently, and she has also been featured lately with the TV show, right? You were the jury in one of the
AF and The Voice.
Exactly, The Voice. Secondly, we have Ron Kamnangtip, who is the managing director of Universal Music Thailand. Third person, Piyapong Monprasert. He's the co-founder of Fungi, which is a streaming company that features mostly independent Thai artists. And last but not least, we have Dave Grimaldi, who is a blogger on rock philosophy, who focuses on underground music here in Bangkok, and also writes for Bangkok 101. First, Kun Tawanit, I would like to know about your experience as an artist. How has this changed your perception?
I started my career in a Grammy label record. I released with the cassette tape, with the CD. Yeah, it was like 15, 16 years ago. And the first day that my first album released, the CD was dumped from the price 250 to 126 baht or something. Well, I was very lucky. The first day, and then the price dumped down because there was a piracy going on. Yeah, but I mentioned about that because so to me, I'm not a major artist, but I work professionally as a singer, release albums, and I teach. Yeah. My main income comes from performance, not really from selling. You know, I got my fans, but it's not big, like not a mass market. So even we moved to digital system, to me, not much different. But I have more freedom in working. That's why I stopped signing with the label, and I work. I write my song. I don't want people to change my song, you know, lyrics and then music. And I would like to do the music I would like to do. For 16 years, I've done what I can. I tried many things, and then at the end, I should be indie because I want to do what I want to do, and so. Digital system helped me to, you know, like new generation, to spread my work, you know, and be able to sell easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, this is really interesting because you're already saying that when you started, the price of CDs had to be dropped.
It's because of piracy in Thailand.
Exactly. And piracy in Thailand has been a very big problem already in the 80s. From what I learned when I was doing my PhD on underground music is that in the 80s, Thailand was the center of the world for piracy in cassettes.
Really?
So
center of the world?
Yeah, that was the massive production of piracy in cassettes. Not Mexico. We produce the cassettes, but you copied it in music. So actually, that's how many bands and how rock and underground music started in Bangkok was through piracy. You will have tourists from abroad coming to Bangkok with their music, with their cassettes, sometimes with their CDs, and they will play in Khao San Roads bars, places like on Immortal Bar, who will actually let tourists play their music, and then you will have Thai audience who are like, oh, what is this band? Can we copy it before you leave? And they will start copying bands from abroad that didn't reach the market here. And this is how actually most of the like punk, metal, hardcore scene started here in Thailand. So it's really funny that it happened again 10 years after with the CD. So, and for example, in this case, what was your experience with this in the major labels?
Well, actually, digital has a lot of impact on music industry. Khun Kop has mentioned some of it, like, it's given her freedom or new channels to reach out for the consumer. So on the positive side, that is it. And, we have to go back from the day that digital music came into the scene. As we discussed, it started with Napster way back in 1999, when there was a file sharing site with the MP3. So people start, sharing music, and it's much easier than before. Before that, it was in a cassette or CD, but now you can transfer things from CD into digital file, and then you put it on the internet. So the first impact to the industry was that, the music sales was dropped a lot, and continuously for 10 years, I would say from 2000, 2010, the music sales on the decline because like people feel no need of buying CD, even though you drop the price, and cassette was no more, vinyl was gone by that time. Now it's coming back, but that's another story. So that's the first impact of the digital on music. All right, so we were the very first industry who was hit first by digitization. But then after 2010, we started to see the rise of the digital music sales. That means like we can manage to monetize from digital music with the platform like Apple. Actually Apple was the one who created a very good ecosystem for the music industry, I would say. But that time, it was just the beginning in 2001 with the iPod launch, and then with the iTunes stores in 2003, digital music sales start to come up, and then with other players like Spotify, Deezer, those streaming music, and YouTube and Vivo. But YouTube is another story because it's like the return is really low comparing to other business models. So now we see the way to monetize on digital music. Okay, so it's on the rise. But if you ask me whether it's there yet, I mean, it's perfect yet, it's not. I mean, the value of music still lower than before, way back when we had cassette or CDs or things like that. One major impact that I see from digitization was that it turns music from an art piece. Like I always say that music is art because you pay for what you want. I mean, and the seller can price it the way they want, just like paintings or something like that. If you don't want it, so you don't pay for it. But because of the digitization now, it's on the internet, and the perception of things on the internet is that it's free, so that the value of music is like it's not there anymore. So no one knows how much they should pay for this kind of music or song or albums, things like that. So digitization turns music from art into content. And if you talk about Spotify or Deezer or YouTube, things like that, I mean, there's no differentiation between Khun Kop song and Celine Dion song or Khun Pai song. It's the same. I mean, once you pay for the monthly charge, then you can listen to any song. So, many times, how many times you want, you are free to do it. So it becomes content. So in a way, I mean, as Khun Kop mentioned correctly, like in Thailand, a lot of artists just like rely themselves on show, performance and all that. And she's, I would say, very well known, so she can have like big concert. But a lot of artists, they just have to play in a bar, pub, doing that kind of stuff, and internet or digital music just opened the window for them, to reach out for the people, to make themselves known to the public, and that is it. I mean, it's really difficult for them to monetize. If you talk about major labels or big record company, I think they have many more things to leverage on, and they have a global scale. So that's another story. But still, I mean, in a way, it's not easy for anybody right now.
Well, and as you mentioned, it's quite interesting to see that Napster comes out in 1999, which starts bringing like the decline of labels and music industry as a whole. Then it takes still 2 years for actually having a major impact of the MP3 with Apple and the iPod. And then still 2 more years to create the beginning of a platform such as iTunes to start kind of recovering. So in 4 years, the music industry was kind of decimated very, very fast when you think that it took so long to build up. And nowadays, even if we have platforms such as iTunes, the policies change from one country to another. So it's exactly the price too. So it's not the same thing to be, you will not pay the same price in iTunes, for example, in the US, than you will pay in Europe, than you will pay in Thailand. So this also influences a lot on how the market can react. And we've been talking about how internet allows young and unknown artists to reach more people. So you actually work in this kind of media. What's your experience with this, Pai?
Experience with what?
Well, with streaming for independent and not so known artists. How did you manage to use internet to actually help them promote themselves?
Okay.
I mean, Fungi is basically a streaming service.
Yeah. No, not really.
Well,
we have lots of stuff going on at Fungi. Music streaming is one tool that we use, and we're trying to expand to more tools. For example, our e-commerce store, and then also like music downloads. People can sell physical CDs on our website right now. So the thing is, music streaming is just one of the music technology tools for musicians and artists to, publish their music, get people to know their music, and then they can use other tools to make money, right? They can sell digital copies, they can sell physical copies, they can sell tickets for a concert, As for, streaming, I guess, going back to 1999 again, when Napster came out, the value of music just dropped down to like 0, right? So the willingness to pay of people just also dropped. However, that created a kind of environment for independent artists to like spread their music, right? However, they have to find money somewhere else. So shows, CDs, T-shirts, whatever. What else? Any questions?
But then what did push you to actually co-create Fungi?
Sorry?
Why do you want to co-create Fungi? What's your idea then if you see that, okay, it allows people, but it doesn't help them to actually make money, why investing so much time and effort into Fungi?
So we started Fungi from 2 points of views. One is from the CEO who founded Fungi. He was an indie music listener, so he wanted to have a place where he could find like the music he wants to listen to. But from my perspective, from how I came out, was like I was a musician before. I tried to make it into a career, but I failed, and I found out that everybody whom I know as indie musicians couldn't make enough money to sustain their lives. So I thought this was a problem that I wanted to solve. I wanted indie musicians to be able to make money. However, in order for that to happen, you can't really make money from just one source, such as recorded music, So, and also the environment, the society here in Thailand. people are not willing to pay for music. People sometimes don't really respect musicians enough to pay for music or somehow. So what Fangjai is trying to do is like change the perspective of people, educate people about music copyright, about respecting each other's rights, respecting the artist's rights, that they've invested money, invested their time and their effort to make music. Why are you not paying for them, right? So we're trying to create this environment where people respect each other, and there's the tools that they can easily, communicate, connect, and pay for music, and pay through respect.
Dave, you have been involved in the underground music for what, the past 3-4 years now already. So you actually have seen so many bands come and go. How is your experience with this, with digital? How do they live it? Do they actually use it? Do they prefer to record and sell CDs? What's the vision from there?
I think artists love and hate the digitization of music, because on the one hand they see it as the enemy, and the chorus of voices say, we don't make any money with music streaming. We only get like a couple cents, for thousands of hits or listens. But on the other hand, they get the exposure, and these platforms, music streaming platforms or download platforms, are free or so cheap that the cost is negligible. It's very cheap. So, and they could not actually create the technology themselves to distribute globally. So that's, because I was, some of these digital distribution platforms will take a cut, 30%, upwards of 30% of an album. I'm 42 years old. This didn't even exist when I was a kid. So I think musicians today need to remember that the technology has enabled us, everyone, to share their music globally, but digital music and digital streaming and everything that's on the internet is only one part of their revenue. And like everyone knows now, and I think we've all touched upon, merchandising and touring is a crucial part of what they do, the live shows. A lot of artists are not educated as business people or marketers. I mean, I sit and listen to the, I hate to say complaints, but it is complaints, of artists, and they kind of want to ask me, when does this get easier? When is just someone going to give me $2 million? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, that's never going to happen. It's like, when you begin to sell 5,000 to 10,000 albums or CDs or downloads on your own, independently of any kind of professional agency or label or whatever, then they're going to come to you. Why? Because they're in a business to make money. And what we forget as artists, because I'm an artist too, is that cash flow is what drives everything. And yes, we're artists and we want to create, we want to be authentic, but without money, we don't eat. We don't pay bills. We can't go out on tour. We can't pay our employees. And, as Pablo knows, we can't pay our electricity when we don't get paid. So,
I mean, it's true that anybody who is doing music expecting to get $1 million contract with a major label is completely wrong. This is something that will barely never happen anymore. And most of the time, artists don't realize that when labels give you money, they're actually fronting you money. You have to pay back that money. It's not like
the label is the bank.
There you go. This is the money. Now go and make more outside. Go touring. This is not how it works now. Today, basically, the money you get is a loan that you have to pay back. So that's why you can sell thousands of CDs, copies, and sometimes you actually don't see any money from there because you're actually paying what that was given to you.
I also think that there's I also think that there's a reality distortion type of lens. Like people complain about the music industry right now where it's not selling enough CDs and we should it's much better like in the 90s or 2000s or something or the 80s, and it's like I guess people grow up seeing their heroes like getting rich, being musicians, being rich musicians, and then they think it was easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
And then technology empowers musicians to make music much easier. You can have a home studio for much less costs compared to the 80s, right? So people can make music easier. People can distribute music much easier compared to before. So there's a lot of musicians. There's a whole load of supply of musicians and music nowadays. But then the amount of demand may not have increased, and also the willingness to pay has decreased. So you multiplied those two numbers, people wanting music and people paying for music, it's like it drops, right? So yeah, there's this distortion that people think that back in the 80s, back in the 90s, it was easy. It's like, no, right?
The point I would like to add up is it's not easy, and if you're indie, if you're a new artist, you have to be really, really good to stand out. People just not buying it because they see something. You have to have a good work. Even you're in a record label. And now many competitions going on. So if you're not good enough, no one's going to buy it.
Yeah.
That's in my opinion. So like artworks, it has to be good. And maybe people don't like you. Not everyone will like you. But the people who understand you will like you and buy your work. That is how I can make a living on. And some people doesn't know. I don't know me, but who knows? They know me. And they pay me so I can make a living. So on the other hand, as a person who produce the work, so you have to be good enough or to reach out someone. And those people will, like you said, appreciate your work and then pay for you and then come to see you perform. And I can sell my CD in a concert, which I never thought I can. It's like have to go back to back then. You perform and you sell your stuff to, that's my experience.
Yeah. Yes, actually, let's talk about it on the bright side as well. Actually, as the panelists mentioned, there are many different ways of making revenues from being an artist, musician, singers, like that. And actually, one of the major factor is that now music is much more fragmented. I mean, you love grunge, you love rock, you love jazz, you love anything. You can have your own channel of music. You don't rely on the mass media anymore. So it's not the age of the pop anymore, I would say. That is my personal opinion. Don't quote me as my label or anything like that. In the 80s, you have Michael Jackson, Madonna, whoever. You broke them. I mean, you made them famous, and the world knew them the way that you wanted the world to know. But now everything has changed. Of course, as a label, we still continue to break artists like Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber, and Taylor Swift, and that is worldwide. But it's much more difficult, and you cannot blame digital for this because it's good and bad. So even though you don't have a global big name, a lot of global big names as before, but you also open door for many different kind of genre and music and artists. So there's opportunity as well. So apart from making money from merchandise, CD, vinyl is coming back because people still like the touch and feel of music. Just like there's one really good vinyl store opening at the Central Eastview, and we just share it. It's from B2S, Idea Space, things like that. It's really wonderful, and we share it on Facebook. And we found that that's the most shared topic in the Facebook so far. I mean, that recently, it's like 300 shares from that kind of thing. So people excited about something. They still like to have touch and feel. They still like to reward the artist that they like in many ways. Like they know that if they support the artist, then they can come alive and continue to produce good works. And same as other industries, like athletes, you have to work hard to become successful, and that's a matter of fact. You cannot rely on like one hit wonder and you think that you get a million. No way. I mean, I have met a lot of like world famous artists, and I know that they work very hard, behind the scene and on the stage. They never stop working. So it's not easy, of course. And to this point, I think it's the same as other industries.
And one thing that is quite impressive, as you say, people now, the vinyl is back. People like to be able to touch and actually have a piece to admire. When you, it's still difficult, I guess, for people to say, okay, I'm gonna buy a CD on iTunes, but you actually never own it physically speaking. I mean, you will carry it in your iPod or your cell phone, but that's it. If you lose, it, no, because it's in your library, but technically speaking, you don't own a physical copy. And I remember as a kid, when I was younger, actually that was a good thing of buying a CD, is you could have the leaflet and you can go through, you have the lyrics, you can see the artwork. There's so much going on that the band could actually pass to their fans that you have lost now. But it's good to see that vinyl and physical copies are coming back in a way. I think there is still a lot to do, because now this is my personal opinion, when you use YouTube, you are technically supposed to have access to millions of bands, and you can discover bands from anywhere in the world. But the problem, in my personal opinion, is that the algorithm gets you into a loop. Once you start listening to a certain kind of music, you will get stuck in this kind of music. And if you just let YouTube play automatically, usually it plays the same song you've listened over and over again. So the radio basically is, nobody's listening to radio, everybody's listening to music or using content on their cell phones, their tablets, their computers. But if you're not paying attention and actively seeking for something new, you get stuck in a never-ending wheel of the music you already know. So it's very difficult to go out of it if you don't actively chase it. And this is something that, in my opinion, digitization has kind of screwed everybody. Because, okay, it's the music you like, but that's the music you already know. Radio, you were listening to the music that somebody else has liked. Sometimes you're like, this band, this sounds good. I never listened to it before. And you start investigating by your own.
My opinion?
Yes, please, because you work in this.
Thing is, digital is not destroying anything. People who own that are destroying it.
Explain the owner.
Yeah, whoever owns it are manipulating people to do something like that. Sorry to talk about major labels. But yeah, for example, in like Spotify, the major labels do have shares in them, and they own, I guess, around 2014 was like 90% of the, the list of songs in the whole world or something. So it's like most of the music listened by people are owned or under major labels. So if they own a streaming company, what do they want people to listen to, Yeah, it might just have that algorithm to like, okay, listen to our music. You can discover this band, but listen to our music again. So it's like, yeah. So yeah, it goes back to like, okay, who owns the platform? Who owns the money? Who has the power, right? But then there's this blaming game also. It's like, as Dave said, like for example, streaming doesn't pay much or enough for artists. But the thing is, well, people are blaming the music streaming companies. But the thing is, are you pointing fingers at the wrong people? And the thing is the willingness to pay of the fans are so low that the music streaming companies can't make money from the fans, and so they can't pay enough money to the artists as well. It's like there's this blaming game somehow. It's like, okay, it's the artists that don't make good music anymore, or it's like the streaming companies or the media are not doing any good to the music industry. But hey, have you thought about the fans? Like, what do the fans think about supporting their artists? They're like, yeah, listening to their music every day, supporting the artists already. It's like, no, you're not. If you're not paying artists to make more music, or at least give them food on the table, then they won't be able to make new music, and they have to do some other job, right?
In this case, I would say Thailand is kind of a special case because as part of my research, and as I guess Dave can also say, you don't see Thai people really caring about the music, and they will actually, they're willing to pay 2,000 baht to go see Taylor Swift, but they're not willing to pay 150 baht to go see a local band. Or they will not pay attention to a band when they're playing in a restaurant.
I have another experience. You know Carabao? Everyone knows Carabao, right? They perform every day still because majority of the audience, they live in Tang Changwat, you know, other provinces, and they are the main audience. I think when we do like a Western music and stuff, it's only for city people, which is not enough for Thailand. That's our problem, I think. And Carabao performs every day. They don't care if they perform only on the big stage. They perform in clubs, so they just accept it because they just want to play. Yeah. It's really amazing for me that, you know, when they don't choose so much because they just want to play, okay, they play every day. There's only one band in Thailand, I think, can do this. Yeah. And so it comes back to us. I think the work has to be good, and the artists can rely on digital system, but we have to reach out to people and let them see how we perform live. Otherwise, they wouldn't buy our work, right? Or because like I only use iTunes, yeah? They let you hear only a half of the song. I don't even hear a song. Like my song, you have to hear a whole thing so you get a whole picture. So how can I sell a song from listen to like a very short, you know? So I still think we need a media as an artist to reach out to the audience in whatever way, TV, radio, online, or stream, every way, you know, to be able to sell again.
Yes,
yeah.
And digitization really helped that.
I think so, yeah.
Only
thing I don't like is the sound quality. It's not good
regarding
enough.
The technology.
Yeah.
But yeah, digitization, one thing that it created is the niche market. So niche markets could be seen more visible, right? Small artists can reach their fans through media such as YouTube or Facebook, right? And I was thinking of something I'd like to talk about. It's like that should relate to this topic. Is that I talked to a marketer who works at a big department store, and she summed up to me the word marketing. If you sum it up to one small word, it's love. If you love your customer, if you love your fans, you give the best to them, and then they give it back to you. So there's this example of a band called Stundio. She's an indie artist, actually. So when she released her songs, she put it all on these forums and websites for people to download for free, like 4Shared or anything. But even though people get to listen to her music for free, they came back to buy her CDs. All 1,500 of them were sold out. And then she came out with the second album, and then people still buy her CDs. The thing is, she used Facebook to communicate with her fans just as they were her friends. She had like really nice content, really nice pictures. She answered all the comments, and then people started feeling a connection to her. They started loving her. So the thing is, people support people. People don't really support corporations. They support people they like, they have a good feeling with the people they love. So that's that's how she connected with her fans, through Facebook. She got people to listen to her music for free, and then she made really good content, especially her CDs. She really designed it really well. They were really nice pictures. Instead of lyrics, she had essays in the covers. So that's how her fans connected to her, and then really wanted to buy her CDs and all her merchandise.
Yeah, actually I agree to that. So music is really emotional. So we industry of the emotion. So affection, love is very important. So as I mentioned, if they really like to support the artist they love or they like, then they do everything for them. So that as a label, actually we are like the one who help them, do the works that they're not very good at, like, promotion, marketing and all that. And surprisingly, even though I mentioned at the beginning that digitization also democratize the industry, a lot of artists, new artists or YouTube star, things like that, still lining up to talk with the label, even in Thailand, because like at some point of their career they need help, and they know that they need somebody to help them. And some of the artists just mention, and that's not from me, that's from the artists, they mention, oh, I never know that there's such thing like this that can help me. Somebody really said that to some of the labels in Thailand as well. So yes.
And okay, so
and that,
see, if we're using labels as platforms and as support for artists too, then how do you as a major label feel when iTunes, for example, sets the price for $1 in the States and only 19 baht in Thailand? 9 baht.
Yeah, 99.
Oh,
well,
imagine.
Actually, I don't want to give a comment on the corporate point of view, but personal point of view. As I mentioned, no one really knows the price of music. I mean, if he has his CD and Kunkop has a CD, how much do you want to pay for their CD? Maybe the same, maybe different. No one knows.
But then if we're democratizing everything,
yeah.
if all of Europe is paying 99 cents of a euro and the States are paying 99 cents of a dollar, I guess the rest of the country or the world should be based more or less around that price.
So when the the economists talk about pricing, they compare it to Big Mac index, that kind of thing, and they do a lot of number crunching and all that, and came up with a number. And when Apple changed the price in Thailand, I said, wow, that's a music devaluation day. And the guy at Apple said, oh, it's a auto correction. It should be the music revolution day. So it depends on perception, who look at it. And to your point about the concert, I think in Thailand there are not so many stages for like new artists to perform. And even though we have more festival now, right, in Thailand, but there's no such thing like festival culture, music festival culture in Thailand yet. It's just the beginning. If there are more of that, it'd be good, because like as Kunkop mentioned, the new artists, they don't have any stage to play, so they play everywhere in the pub, bars and all that, so they become very commonplace, and who like to pay a lot to see them anymore, right? But some of the labels, I can mention other labels like BC Terror, I think they're trying to change the momentum as well. So they groom an artist to become like a concert performer rather than everyday performers. Like, and then start to see something out of it. Yeah.
I'd like to say a little bit of this. So digitization actually, going back to the niche markets again, like digitization makes artists connect with fans more easily. So yeah, talking about festivals, you might see that the big festivals are going away, and there's not many big concerts with lots of bands anymore. But the thing is, there's more stages happening because of the artists connecting through social media, which I'd like to throw to Dave. You're like being quiet. We're gonna talk about underground music now. So yeah, the thing is, there's lots and lots of small gigs going on. There's like 20, well, maybe sometimes 50 events happening in a week, which we've got a guy here who knows that. I was like, there's more events going on all the time. And it really happened because of digitization, because of social media, because of connections through, you know, the internet. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about like underground music. Well, not a question actually. It's like, how's your experience on the underground music here in Bangkok, man?
I mean, you're a blogger,
What's
so
going on?
you are using digital media as
I
your channel
exploit
of
social media.
communication. Yeah.
I would recommend that I recommend that everyone doing anything digitally exploits all the free tools online, not just the distribution platforms, but the marketing platforms. There's, for example, there's you can have email automation like MailChimp. You can do marketing surveys with SurveyMonkey. These are, you know, they have a freemium, so you can use them for free up to a point, and then you just pay for something. And I don't see a lot of artists utilizing these tools because they define themselves as artists. But one of my some of my notes that I decided not to use today included the idea of the artist musical entrepreneur, essentially. It's not enough just to be an artist anymore. You do need to be a business person as well and educate yourself and learn how to sell, you know. And I know that Ron, you were talking about marketing being about love, but in my own cynical mind and being a journalist, I was thinking the business is about selling. If we can't sell, we don't eat, we don't pay bills, and so we have to learn how to sell, or we will not survive. And that's, once you give into that, you will find the way to do it. And mostly it's a lot of hard work. But as far as the social media aspect, a lot of bands, they use it. I don't think they use it to its full capacity, and I still think there's old-fashioned things like email lists. There's things like postcards and handwritten letters to editors. That stuff still works. I try to tell my friends who are in bands, hey guys, why don't you have an email list? Oh, no one uses those anymore. Hey, why don't you do this? Oh, no one does that. No one sends letters anymore. Like literally handwritten letters with postage stamps. Oh, I don't want to do that. It costs money. So all they keep telling me is that, oh, these people at the other end of that message don't really matter to them, and they won't even put a postage stamp on a letter or something. And I think we all understand that, you know, as a brand and as a branded artist, you have to connect to your audience, and if you can't do that, you will not have a career. And the way you can share your brand is through social media. It's free. Facebook is free, so is Twitter. And artists can utilize these things, and there's some very basic marketing principles, which you could read in my new book, coming out next year, digitally. But what I see is artists really only want to be artists, and they want someone else, a label, to do everything for them. That's kind of the general message I get from the underground and independent artists. They don't really want to do the business side themselves. They still see it as a little bit dirty, like, oh, you deal with numbers. You look at Excel sheets all day. You're a marketer. And now, as I've been blogging and doing music photography for 3 years now, people are coming to me with different ideas and see me as a promoter. And out of almost my own boredom of social media and blogging, I'm beginning to look at the business side of the business and seeing, on the one hand, it's really important to have a liberal arts background and be able to communicate as a writer and as a speaker, and then also to be able to collect and gather hard data, numbers, and look at different metrics. And there's lots of free tools out there. Google Analytics is one of them, but there's so many free tools out there. And then to take all that and to put together business plans for independent artists. And that's probably where I'm looking to go if I have a business, to help develop business plans for the career of an artist. Not just a one-off album, but where do you see yourself in 50 years? In 200 years, what are people going to say about your band and about your business and about your company? And if the answer is they won't even know about it, then we need to look at that. But I'm looking at artistry from the standpoint of anthropology and culturally. How is this going to affect the present culture, and how is it going to change where we're going? So it's not just about protecting copyrights, but I'm also looking at the actual artistry in terms of how it's advancing their genre, or how it changes how we think about music or art. So yeah.
So you see there is hope for artists anyway, no matter how digital actually will change. This is only a media that will last for such a long time, and at some point somebody's going to come with a new way.
Yeah. I think that artists need to accept the fact that people are going to be sharing their music, that the revenue they'll make from streaming it will be very low, and that they're going to have to get out, they're going to have to keep their day jobs, and they're going to have to tour. They're going to have to learn how to sell their music and do pitches, and they're going to have to create email lists that have thousands of people on them, and gather data on those people by sending them surveys and putting together pitches that are sent via email. I mean, this is all on the internet. You can read about it. But I think artists today, they're only beginning to really see the value of all these things. Here's a band called Linkin Park, right? Linkin Park, they succeeded. They had Hybrid Theory, then they had Meteora. And then there was a point where everyone stopped buying CDs, and they had to figure out a new business model. And they basically run their business like a technology startup. They don't run it just as like, well, we're just a knuckleheaded band. They run it as a startup, like a technology startup. And they take their money, they take their assets, and they invest in different industries, which is the smart thing to do. And that's forward thinking. That's what bands need to be doing. Not just thinking about like, we make music. Like, the money that you make needs to, you want to hedge your bets and create more wealth for yourselves. I think, and this was actually in the Harvard Business Review where I was reading about Linkin Park. That's where bands need to be going. They need to be thinking like entrepreneurs, like tech startups. And they can, as a small organization of 3 or 4 people, if one of them is great at finance, another one's great at videography, another one's great at marketing, and another one's a webmaster. Those are all really important skills to have these days. And it's not just enough to be a songwriter anymore, unfortunately. Because you want to have control as an artist of your music. You want to control your publishing and all the licensing. So.
Okay. But then there's also the option of hiring other people to do stuff, right? You don't need to be in a label to have a marketing team or a publisher or PR. But yeah, it's one way is to do it yourself. If you are a musician and you also can do accounting, be the accountant for the band. If you can manage, be the manager for the band. But if you can't do that, hire somebody or get some help. Right.
So what's now, to close this panel, what's your hopes or your perception of what's going to happen in the future here in Thailand for the music industry? What would you like it to happen, or what do you expect it to happen?
Okay, let me start. So I just read one article, Digital Music Business and the Rashomon Effect. I think the writer really understands the music industry, and he explained in his article that it's like everyone looking at things through their own lens. So, they have the color of the lens. So even though the same thing, people have different point of view. So digitization can be good and bad. I think that came out from this forum, and I agree to that too. But I think we need creativity, yeah, and maybe it's time for everybody to work together or think about it seriously together. I mean, of course, there are a lot of opportunities. You see a lot of like big name artists in the world or in Thailand start to do their own stuff. And that could be a solution, or it could be something else. Because right now, there are three models, business models that we're seeing, and I have been thinking about this, whether there's other things or not, but I cannot think of anything else apart from these three business models, which is a la carte, of course, CDs, vinyls, downloads, or streaming, paid streaming, or what we call subscription. So you pay for the service, you know, every month, thing like that, and you can enjoy the music. And the ad-funded business model. So these are the three things. But I think the thing is, you know, you have to be creative on how to leverage on that. Of course, it's not only digital that can make a success for an artist. Yeah, it could be something else like performance, live, touring, that kind of thing, or merchandise, or something else. So you have to leverage on that. And to the democratization of the business, I think is still true. I mean, even though, you know, he mentioned about Spotify owning by major labels, I'm not so sure about the ownership of, you know, on that part. But I think artists still have a choice. Everybody still have a choice. Like Taylor Swift, she said no to Spotify, and that's her choice. Why? Because she thinks that the return is not good. And a lot of artists came up, you know, like Adele, like Nelly Furtado, say no to YouTube because she thinks that it's not the way. It's not it. The return is very bad. Just be upfront. So, yeah, everybody has a choice, and we need the creativity, you know, how to leverage it. Maybe, you know, I saw Kun Kop, you know, putting herself on Facebook and manage herself. A lot of artists that I know, you know, love is one thing, selling is one thing, but a lot of artists that is successful, and I know them in person, I met them quite a few times. They really know how to do it. They really know how to do it. They know how to communicate to the fans. And as a matter of fact, you know, when they release new single or album, they didn't even tell the label first. They told the fans first, and they really knew how to make a connection with the fans. So it's everything that you mentioned. I think there's no right or wrong, you know, in regards to the industry, but it's how we can make it better, and that we need creativity and we need cooperation, because like this article also mentioned that when we talk about the platform, not a lot of the music tech startup in music are successful because there are a lot of barriers. Okay, from the labels, from artists, from publishers. So if I'm gonna invest to do a new music streaming platform, people ask for such and such thing, and then you cannot survive. So we need creativity.
Sorry. Anything else?
As an artist, we need to produce a new work, new songs. I even invest on my concert, which I think I am the first one, not was. I am the first one who singing pop in English tunes with the orchestra in Thailand. And I dare to say it because it costs a lot of money. Other artists will ask, what did you do it? Because it's such a small market.
Any sponsors you have?
I have only 1/5 of the money I have to invest. I lost money, but I gained something else. So like you said, we have to find a way to work out, you know. First, because I've been in the business for a long time, right? So I think I should do something that I would like to do, yeah. Which my market, they wouldn't invest a lot on me. I got only 1.5 million. I invest 6 million, so it's not enough. So I have to gain the money from the ticket sales, which I didn't sell a lot, but I paid less because people came more than I expected. But then I got a very good vibe from the audience. I can meet my fans, really like fans who appreciate your work. Other people would think I'm stupid to invest in this, but to me, I think I invest in a good way because I produce something no one have done. That's what I want to do. Second, people really remember me in a good way. No one have done it because you have to pay a lot. When you think about business only, you can't create work like an art or whatever. Sometimes I think you need to sacrifice in order to step up and go to the other level, you know. Because I have to talk about this because in my position, I didn't release singles for like 2 years ago. But even the single 2 years ago, it seems like I didn't release anything, you know. So when I was with the major label, it's easier for me to people to see me. That's back then 5 years ago. 2 years ago, I released a single with the label too. They have media too, but it didn't help because they reached to the wrong market. You know what I mean? So the people who listen, I have to find how to connect to my fans, which the age is a problem too. Some people, they don't even look at Facebook. They don't listen to radio. I have to reach them from the news by like lunchtime because they are business people. You know what I mean? So whatever like everyone said today, as an artist, I think you have to accept everything. Just use every tools you have, you know, but you have to produce a new song or new work all the time. You can't just, in Thailand, I'm so sorry to say, they always sing the same song for 20 years. They don't release anymore. And I asked them, why don't you invest on something to release, you know, because the fans are waiting for new stuff and they are willing to buy, you know. They don't, I don't know why they don't pay. What's wrong with paying and investing, you know? So as an artist, you have to change your perspective and be your own boss, you know, and run your own business too. And I think you can have a career. You can't just have a one song, whatever, on YouTube, got how many million views, but you don't have a career.
Yeah.
If you call career, you have to make it, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be aggressive on it and, my God, just invest on something. Be a business person, like Dave said, a little bit, and then you can carry on, especially in Thailand.
Aggression is good. Greed is good.
Let me add on something. I forgot to mention this point, and Kun Kop remind me of that. So marketing in another way is like branding. So we're talking about positioning. So brand partnership is the other area that we're doing partnership and sponsorship, you know, with anything like Kun Kop, you know, she's creating her own community and she knows who are the followers, who are the fans, and that could match with some of the brands, maybe higher end of the market, more well-to-do, so can spend things. So that's another area of opportunity. So not only in Thailand, but all the world, we're doing that at this moment as well. Yeah.
Find sponsors.
Yes, sponsor or even not only the sponsor, but brand partnership, not the, like one-off thing, because like Thailand is the top viewers of YouTube, and everyone knows that if you go to the YouTube Music Insight, all the top names that I mentioned, Maroon 5, Justin Bieber, Adele, Bangkok is #1 views, right? So Thailand,
because of the malls.
no, because people in Thailand, they still love free things for free. They love it. So it could be opportunity for brand or product placement in your videos, many more things like that. So it's talking about being brand ambassador or something like that. And yeah, so if you can find the right positioning, you have opportunity to do.
I just want to point out there was an article recently. The Buzzcocks, one of their songs was used in a McDonald's commercial, and Morrissey of the Smiths was outraged by that. But in an age where people don't buy music, what is a band like the Buzzcocks going to do when no one buys music anymore? They're going to sell it to McDonald's.
Especially an old band like the
An
Buzzcocks
old
that
band
nobody
from
knows.
Manchester.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Pai, any hopes about what's going to happen in the future here in Thailand? Because you're taking so many notes.
Yeah, noting a lot. Huh? Okay. I did some research like last month, and I found out that the total revenue of the music industry hasn't really dropped. Actually, it was still growing. The part where it dropped is in recorded music. So money is going elsewhere. It's going into live shows, into licensing, publishing, you know, and more digital stuff. So it's like, to say that the music industry is dying is like, no. The recording industry is maybe declining, but music will never be dead. Music has been with us for tens of thousands of years, at least. It might be even, I think it was like 1.2 or 2.5 million years ago that music should have started. But the thing is, music has always been with us, and it was always live. Recorded music just happened like probably 100 years ago. So we're kind of going back to the basics. Is like, music has to be, you know, consumed live. We need to connect. Musicians need to connect with their fans face to face or something. So the thing is, back in the day, media and access points were controlled by corporations who control the technologies, who control the media. But then these new technologies, such as what was that name again? Napster, kind of destroyed those barriers, and also destroyed the willingness to pay. However, it opened up whole new channels that artists can connect with their fans, and fans can get music. So artists need to adjust to the environment. They need to find out the new tools that they can use. They've got these new tools that people back in the day don't have, so they need to take advantage of it to find other ways to make money. But the big problem, I think, that is happening in the music industry is actually the fans. The fans, their willingness to pay reduced. Their respect may have reduced, I guess. So we kind of like need to find a way to change the perception, the ideas of the fans, to like respect the artist, respect the music, you know, and pay for it, right? You may want to pay like a small artist, or you want to pay a big artist, whatever. But the thing is, don't steal music. The artists invested in it. They put their lives, their hearts into it. So, yeah, what Fungi would want to do is like help the fans change their minds and keep the artists working. Yep.
Dave, any closing remarks?
Closing remarks. This morning, as I was contemplating what to wear, deciding I'm not going to wear a dress shirt as some of you have worn today, but I'm going to wear my Grateful Dead T-shirt because symbolically it meant something. I'm not a huge fan of the Dead, and so it's almost sacrilege that I'm wearing this T-shirt that I bought in a department store in America. But, you know, the Grateful Dead allowed people to tape and bootleg their shows, not just people, their fans called Deadheads. They bootlegged the shows. They traded them, but they weren't supposed to trade them. They weren't supposed to sell them for profit. And the Grateful Dead made their money through ticket sales and merchandising. And their fans didn't go to one show. They went to hundreds of shows. And they talked to other Dead fans, and they talked about, like, what do you think they're going to play for the first song tonight? And it created this entire new culture of Dead fans traveling around the world for one band. And, you know, bands need to cultivate that. It's like a cult of personality. And in a later era, you know, a band called Phish, P-H-I-S-H, a jam band from originally from Vermont, started off in colleges. They were improvisational, like rock musicians, playing these really exciting shows, mostly to incredibly inebriated and people. And I saw them, the last time I saw them was the last show It was in Limestone, Maine. They played for 100,000 people, and they played for 3 nights. And this was back in 2000. But Fish still play today. Whenever they play Madison Square Garden. They sell out within seconds, and they'll sell 4 days in a row through New Year's in New York City. And people, their shows go on, the tickets go on eBay for like $8,000 for front row seats. So music is not dead. There are bands that can cultivate a community of people that are devoted and will pay their money, and the market. You know, I believe in free markets. The market will tell you if you're doing well or not. But I still believe people will pay for the experience of live music and buying the merchandise of artists. It's just artists need to learn to connect and get their message to the people that will be most responsive. So there's still hope.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, thank you for coming. Thank you to our great panelists for coming and
Thank you
giving
very much.
their experience.